want to give everybody a little bit of information as well. We do have an email, and that is prepnetch14@gmail.com. Again, that is prepnetch14@gmail.com. Let me give a quick pause. We also have an email address. Jim goes and records every net and posts it. Sorry, we have a YouTube channel. Jim posts every net afterwards on the YouTube channel, and he does do some expanded presentations where he brings up bullet points and other tricks and tips and dives deeper into questions and comments throughout the net. I strongly suggest you go check that YouTube channel out, and if you want, everything's there. You can get caught up. The YouTube channel is at prepnet-talk2me at prepnet with a capital P and a capital N dash talk to me the way it appears on your radio. Do we have anybody that would like to register for the net? Please speak your name slowly and let us know what state you are in.
This is Chuck Town, Charleston, South Carolina, and I'll be monitoring on the side.
Copy that, Chuck Town. We got you down as monitoring. Thank you, sir. Do we have anybody else who would like to register at this time? Okay, it is 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll go ahead and get this started. As I said, we do have an email address, and that is prepnetch14@gmail.com. If you have any questions you think of throughout the week in the subject heading, please put question and go ahead and email us your question. If you have any comments, please in the subject heading put comments, and we will get back to you there as well. And your comments and questions may be brought up during the net as well as the expanded presentations. So be watching out for that. That is on YouTube. And our YouTube channel is at prepnet-talk2me. Again, that is at prepnet with a capital P and a capital N -talk to me the way it appears on your radio. I'm going to do one last quick call. Do we have anybody else who would like to register for the net?
Hi there, this is Donna in Montana.
Welcome in, Donna. Welcome in. Always a pleasure, dear. Do we have anybody else who would like to register? Please go ahead. Well, Jim, if you're all right, we do have one monitoring and we do have Donna here. You want to go ahead and get started? I'll turn the mic over to you, sir.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. We can go ahead and get started, maybe pick up some stragglers. And I'm sure there's people listening anyway. And I like to talk, even to myself. That's my cat. Okay, I guess you did throw it over to me. Well, welcome everybody out there in Netland. Okay, tonight's topic's going to be all about electricity, Part 9. Lithium iron phosphate batteries, Part 3. And I had no idea this was going to be this long. We will continue our discussion on the use of the single lithium iron phosphate cells for your battery bank, and we were going to cover how do I build a 12-volt battery from single cells, how can I view the battery's total voltage and the voltage of each cell, And how do I balance the cells in my LFP battery? Well, however, I found that building the 12-volt battery would be enough for one net. We'll discuss the other two topics next week. Break. We will be building a 12-volt battery from single LFP cells, lithium iron phosphate. As I didn't want to disassemble one of my working 24-volt batteries for this. But you will get the idea of how to create any size battery, and there's a battery basics video up there that goes into a lot of this serial parallel connection. So how do I build a 12-volt battery from a single LFP cell? Obviously, the first step is to get your LFP cells with the same amp hour rating. Now, I have provided a link to a company I have purchased my LFP batteries from in the video description of the expanded presentation on YouTube. There are also many more links to YouTube channels that will give you information on how to purchase your LFP cells, how to charge them, and other important information. Great. To let you know how prices have changed, my first 280 amp hour cells cost me $149 each in April of 2022. Then my second 280 amp hour cells cost me $80 each in August of 2023. And as of November 2025, those same cells are now $52 each. And they have cells with even higher amp hour ratings. So things are looking good. Now to continue, break. We will be using 95 amp hour cells for our 12 volt example battery. The presentation will actually show those in our connection. I recommend getting more cells than what is needed to build your battery or batteries. The example of my first battery bank system was I got 32 95 amp hour FP cells, but I was only going to use 24 of them to make 3 24 volt batteries. I then had 8 cells left over for spares, and this also helps you match cells for a better battery, right? First thing you want to do, verify the positive and negative terminals of all the cells you receive. Use your multimeter to verify that you know which terminal is positive and negative. They are sometimes not marked correctly. Always verify them yourself and mark each terminal if it needs correcting, or to make it easier to identify, which will make your battery building easier. Now label each cell with a unique identifier. I use numbers. This will help you manage your cells in the future. Break. Next, check the voltage of each cell with the multimeter. This gives you a baseline for each cell. Put this information into a spreadsheet, next to the number of that cell. Now, manually balance all of the cells you got. Not just the 4 you need for the battery. Connect all the cells in parallel by connecting all the positive terminals together, and connect all of the negative terminals together. Let the parallel connected battery set for at least 48 hours. This will equalize all the cells to the same voltage to give you a starting point, right? Now charge that whole battery thing. You will need a charger that must be able to charge 3.2 volt cells. You cannot use a 12 volt charger for this. And again, I have put links to chargers that will do this in the video description of this expanded presentation. Connect the charger to the parallel cells, turn on the charger, set the voltage to 3.6 volts using both the rough and fine adjustments. Follow the directions of that charger for how you do this, since there are many. This will charge all of the cells to 3.6 volts. This may take 1 or more days, depending on how many cells you have in parallel. And it's a slow process, but bear with us. Right. Now, after the current on the charger shows 0 amps. In other words, it's not putting anything into the battery. Turn off the charger and disconnect the charger. Now disconnect all of the battery cells, or the cells, and let them sit for at least 24 hours to stabilize. Now sort your cells. Measure the voltage of each cell and log the voltage of each cell in that spreadsheet. For our 12-volt battery, pick 4 of the cells that have the closest voltages to each other. And remember, last week or the week before, we talked about balancing the cells. Now we can build our 12-volt battery. Great. Place your 4 closest voltage cells on your workbench so you can easily connect them in series to make a 12-volt battery. Place cell 1 with the negative terminal at the top. Then place cell 2 next to it with the positive terminal at the top. Place cell 3 with the negative terminal at the top and cell 4 with the positive at the bottom. Now to connect them into a 12-volt battery. Great. Carefully install the provided bus bar between cell 1 positive and cell 2 negative. Next, install a bus bar between cell 2 positive and cell 3 negative, and finally, install a bus bar between cell 3 positive and cell 4 positive. You now have a 12-volt battery built from 4 LFP cells. For added stability, you can tape the cells together so they don't spread apart and loosen the terminals. The terminals should be tight. And a warning here, when you finish building the 12-volt battery, the installed bus bars are not protected. Be sure to cover the top of your exposed cell connections with an insulating material like plastic or rubber. Great. Now you can charge this 12-volt battery with proper 12-volt charger by connecting the charger's negative clamp to cell 1's negative terminal and the charger's positive clamp to the cell 4's positive terminal. You don't need to charge each cell individually. Now remember to watch the expanded presentation on the YouTube channel, which will have visuals for a better understanding, and plus you'll get those links to a lot of other information about charging and other information. Next week, we're going to continue our All About Electricity series, which seems to be going on forever, and discuss how can I view the battery's total voltage and the voltage of each cell, and how do I balance the cells in my LFP battery. That's sort of your maintenance part. Now, if you have any questions about what we discussed here tonight, as always, please ask during the roundtable or send your question to prepnetch14@gmail.com and enter question in the subject line. Now, throw it back to Redman.
Caught me right at the tail end to get my notes there, Jim. Thank you very, very much, sir. Wow. Even in a short time there, that was a lot of information. So thank you very much, Jim. Donna, do you have any questions or anything, any comments tonight on this?
Oh, I know one thing's for sure. I'm definitely going to have to watch the expanded YouTube video on this multiple times because I am a visual learner and I really need to see what he's talking about.
And also, going back through other expanded presentations, you know, you can look at how to connect the batteries like he's talking about tonight as well. That has been covered in other expanded presentations. So, yes, there is a lot of information tonight. I'm actually taking more notes. I'm going to look into making the spreadsheet as you recommended there, Jim, too. So, and I'm going to watch this also. I'm going to rewatch this net tonight and go through my notes a little bit more. So, just so that I've got this right, because I've been doing a little bit of research into this last week, and I'm just blown away. I'm going to give a short pause here. Do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net tonight? Please go ahead. And Jim, I just wanted to tell you thank you as well for discussing the bus bars there and making sure that you got them insulated. That's something I already know I would have overlooked. And I do see the dangers in that. So thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, figured I had to do it. Yeah, you can actually start a fire. These batteries have an extremely low resistance. And actually, there's a special meter you can get that you can literally measure the resistance, and the resistance is like an ohm or less, which is nothing, which means it can transfer a massive amount of energy. And with transferring a massive amount of energy, you can create heat. And if you short those things, you can take a 12-volt car battery and, hook up jumper cables to it. And you can sort of, swap the positive and negative clamps together and get a big spark. You do that on a lithium battery because of their low resistance, and it will put massive amounts of amperage in. So yeah, you do have to be careful with that since you're building your own. But again, I still think building your own is a better way to go because then you really understand what your battery does, what you need to do to keep it healthy, and go on. Let me break quick. Yes, and I would agree. Definitely, you not only watch the visual for this or the expanded presentation because there's a lot of visual, and again, as I said before, there's a lot of links to a lot of things that can give you information. How to get the batteries, where to get them, why I choose that one. There's a Ray Builds Cool Things link. He's the guy that really pushed me towards this one particular company. And after you watch his stuff, his videos are a little long. They're not edited. It's just him talking head. But he really does research, and he sort of does this for a living. So it's not like, me, where I just have one thing. This guy works with hundreds and hundreds of cells and tests them all, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really worthwhile to watch, and watch all of the 07 things to get caught up on the electric thing, and even the rest of the previous things that we've already done, because there's a lot in there that has nothing to do with electricity.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true, Jim. Do we have anybody else that would like to register right now? The floor is yours. I will say one other thing though, Jim. Like I said, I've been doing a little bit of research. I've been watching some other YouTube videos and whatnot this week. The emphasis with safety procedures, safety precautions, it's just not out there really that I'm seeing. It's either you can go just buy a whole battery kit pre-built, or here you go. This is my parts list to make this battery. This is how I do it, and no safety precautions, no safety procedures. It's just almost like it's inherent that you just know these things, and there's people out there that don't. So thank you very much.
Right, and that we will be covering that. There are, we'll probably have one, it might even be two, I don't know. I'm coming to find out that when I start putting these things together, okay, we're going to talk about this subject, and this subject, and I get done with the first one and time it, and it's like, okay, this is 6-7 minutes long. I really don't want to go any longer than that, on the net. And it's like, there's a lot. And there is just protection. There are fuses, circuit breakers. There are battery protection things that limit this, limit that. The BMS, which is the battery management system, does a whole bunch of things and can turn off charging when something goes, gets to a certain point, can turn off discharging. So, there's a lot to it. So you don't burn your house down. Or if you happen to have a more portable thing, in your camper or whatever, you don't burn it down.
In your battery management system is something very important too. I've been learning more about that even with the use of solar panels, which we will be covering down the road.
Absolutely. And trying to figure out what's the best way to present this. You can't present, okay, you hook up the battery, you have your solar panels, they go to a charge controller, they hook in, you hook up a DC to AC inverter to get your 110 or your 220 split phase or whatever. You cannot cover that in one. It has to be broken up because there's way too much wire sizes, things of that nature. You have to be able to calculate how much am I pulling from the batteries. In my case, everybody should know this who's listened before. My battery system has 9 280 amp hour 24 volt batteries. Those are connected in parallel to give me 2,520 amp hours of power. I am not going to be drawing that much power, and there's a reason why it's that big. But there's a lot of protections in there, so I don't burn my house down or electrocute myself.
And, you're talking about your wire and whatnot, different gauges and different purposes. I've got a bad story about choosing the wrong wire. When I was a kid, we had a generator out in the garage. My dad had shown me and my brother how to plug the generator in and use it. He had a very simple plug right there by the fuse box, and all we had to do was flip the switch and plug this plug in because it was already running in to the fuse box. We forgot how to do it. We rustled up a bunch of Christmas lights and inside the house extension cords, plugged all this in and had this running all through the house off of the generator out in the garage. We actually are very fortunate we didn't burn the house down, but we did have a few wires ignite. So very, very dangerous stuff when you're playing around with electricity and improper wiring.
Right, and everybody is not up to do that. They don't want to take the responsibility. Totally fine. You turn around and you get a qualified electrician to do the things. I do all my wiring, but I've been doing this for a long time, both AC and DC. And we will be getting into the wiring that provides your electricity. And it's not all 110, or in my case, 110 or not 120. We used to call it 110, and 240 split phase to run well pumps and such. But there are DC lines that run long lengths in the house, and you have to size the wire and the breakers and all of that stuff. So we will be covering that too. So again, this is just to get people thinking. Let me break real quick. I'm trying to find the links to a lot of the YouTube sites of people who really know what they're doing, and they have a track record. They actually run businesses doing this, etc. I mean, they have test equipment I wish I had, but so that's just I'm trying to put those in that description. So if you want to get more detail, because again, this is not a how-to step-by-step thing. We're broaching the generalization to get you thinking about things that maybe you hadn't thought about before in all of the prepping things. And so you can come up with a good plan and get the right stuff for your particular situation, because we all prep differently.
Copy. Copy that. That's very true. And thank you, Jim, for getting all this extra information up for us. Education is the key, I believe, when it comes to prepping. And I honestly believe the education in prepping is always moving forward with it. There's always new information out there. There's always better information out there. And there's always new skills to learn as well. And I'm going to give a short break here. I'm going to check one last time. Do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net? The floor is yours. All right, Donna, do you have any more questions or comments tonight, dear?
Yeah, I just have one quick question for Jim, but I think he may already have answered it. I was just out of curiosity, how many more episodes on this LFP topic that he's got in the works?
I wish I could answer that. Originally, when I first approached Red Bear after, I guess, the first or second net that we had, and brought this up about, well, let's turn this more into an educational thing, and we would have a topic, and wanted to keep it in little bite-sized things, I sort of figured the All About Electricity thing was going to be 3 or 4 parts. Again, we are at part 9. I know there is a part 10. I know there is a part 11 because I'm working on them right now. And we haven't even got into the solar, how different ways you can charge your battery bank, all of the protections for that, how it's wired to get your 120 or your 240 or your 12 volts or your 24 volts. So I don't know. This is the biggest rabbit hole I think I've ever jumped down. Donna, you don't mean to tell me you're Tyro talking about batteries?
Not at all, not at all. I just think it's kind of funny that I guess that there's just so much to cover.
Right. And of course, I'll use this opportunity right now. If you go watch any of the videos, even if it has nothing to do with the batteries, and we're talking about batteries during the roundtable, and you have questions, or you've gone out and looked at this week's extended presentation, and you've watched some of those videos, and you have some questions, bring them up. So everybody can hear what they are. Because if you've got a question, chances are a bunch of people that are listening probably would like to know the answer to that. And again, as Red Bear says, this is a continuing thing. You will always be learning. I do not know everything. And, there's no one person that does. And things change. New technologies come out. Just like I said, my original cells were almost $150 a piece. They are now $52 within 3 years. That is kind of amazing. So things change rapidly. New stuff comes out. So it's, yeah. So anyway, back to Red Bear.
Copy that. I think, Jim, do you want to just go ahead and wrap it up for the night right now, you think? Or what do we want to do here?
Well, if you want, you can do one more call, see if there's anybody else out there that either wants to register or just wants to pop in, make a comment, ask a question, things of that nature. If not, then I say, yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up. This is the Thanksgiving weekend, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Copy that, Jim. Yes, definitely happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Do we have anybody that would like to register yet, or anybody monitoring that's got any questions or comments? The floor is yours. All right. Well, want to give special thanks to everybody that joined in tonight. Donna, Chuck Down, appreciate you guys. And anybody else that did not register that is in the background monitoring, we want to say thank you to you as well. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We've got a lot of notes to go over tonight, and I will be adding to them. So want to say thank you to everybody for joining, though. Without you guys, we would not have these nets. So me and Jim are very appreciative of that. And with that, Jim, I'm going to hand it over to you real quick if you've got any last thoughts or comments yourself, sir.
No, I think we've pretty well covered it. And again, yeah, anybody has questions, ask them, send them to our email. If you don't want to, verbally say them out here, not a problem. And we'll try and answer them or give you more information or point you in the right direction. That's what we want to do. So you think about everything, and so you're prepared for whatever happens.
Copy that, Jim. Well, I want to tell everybody to have a great rest of your weekend here, what we have left of it. Please be safe going out tomorrow. It is Cyber Monday. For that, we're going to go ahead and turn the channel back over to regular operations. Thanks a lot, Jim. We really appreciate all the information there. Y'all have a great evening here.
Just want to say happy Thanksgiving, and I enjoyed the net. Thank you.
Yes, definitely, Chuck Down. We appreciate you being here, brother. Anytime. We'll be back next Sunday as well.
Simple. I'll be here.
Copy that.